Alright, so we're in fall spring right now, so whatever. Anyway, so I watched Return to Silent Hill, the third installment that's not really the third one. It's more like the second one, but it has nothing to do with the other two, but it does, but it doesn't. Anyway, so Jesus, Return to Silent. I guess I'll talk about it more of it compared to the other two movies, and then I'll mention how it is via the game. Um, this was not a good movie. It was not. It's, I would say, comparable as bad as probably Revelations. Although Revelations, I was just more like, damn, son. I think I rated them about the same because they both made me just go, no, you know. Like the first movie it wasn't like perfect great. I think I even gave it 4 stars even then. But I think you know, like to attempt Silent Hill, like the first movie got the vibe of it. You know, it got the vibe of it. It used the music well and all that stuff, and most things were practical effects. Even certain CGI things didn't feel ones and zeros. And this is 20 years later, and oh my god, did it feel like you can tell when like it's really bad when it's very obvious when something is filmed on set, in an actual thing, like, oh look, I can get, and then when something is in front of a green screen, it's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. It's got like, Justice League, feel to it, where you're like, oh, that was shot in front of a green screen. It's like, oh my god. So of course, okay, so we know the story of, in the second game, his fucking face, is, I gotta go find my wife kind of thing. She's in Silent Hill, where is she? In front of the mirror, the thing, all that stuff. Play the music. But it's like, he's not going to find his wife, he's going to find his girlfriend. And it's like, okay, this is commonly known as the I gotta find my wife game, and you ain't finding your wife, you finding your girl. And it's also like we know, again, Silent Hill is the whole point of Silent Hill is like people and grief and anger and all that stuff have manifested into whatever the fuck you see in front of you in Silent Hill. Like, why these monsters are that, because blah 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 and all that stuff. And other movies and games try to replicate it. They don't got the same kind of vibe. They don't got the same kind of fuck shit. They definitely don't have the same type of music to it. And so, like, the movie started off really dumb because it's just kind of like, obviously the movie's not good, so obviously I'm going into spoilers. So, he's just like driving in his car, like, top down, blah, 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 all the stuff just blowing, who cares? Ooh, and it's like, I got my easel and paint in the back seat, yeah, fellow artist, that's what I do. I just put, whatever, dude. Okay, let's assume in the trunk is like, suitcases. Even then, I got my top down, canvas and, canvases and fucking easel, just nothing strapped down. Anyway, and so he's just like, music, boogie, driving, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, a truck, that kind of thing. And then the woman, like, freaking Mary, her luggage is like in the middle of the road, even though he swerved, like he's still like, knocks it, and she's like, oh, the latch is broken, and he like picks up all her stuff, and she's like, wait, the bus, and then the bus driver's like, alright, I guess I'll stop. I love that the bus driver initially, like, they made it out to seem like the bus wasn't gonna stop because she wasn't directly standing at the bus stop, even though she's the only person aside from the guy who's there, like, in the bus stops, and then, like, he has her stuff, and then, the bag, the latch breaks, and then she's like, oh my god, and then she goes, just go, to the bus driver, and I'm like, okay, girl, you flagged down the bus driver, having him wait like 2 extra seconds for you to like just, like grab your other two bags, like, the bus driver is supposed to come out and open the bottom thing so you can put your stuff. Okay, fine, put your stuff in, maybe the one that with the latch broken you bring on with you, I don't know, ask someone for tape, or maybe, he's got like shrink wrap or something. It's like the whole point of the bus stuff. I know I'm just thinking way too hard into this, and this is literally like 5 minutes into the movie, but that part got me like, wow, that's how we're gonna do the plot, is that her being like, let's go, and then she's like, well, I was gonna leave, like, be like, well, I was gonna leave, but I guess I won't leave anymore. And it's like, what? Like, that was your call? Like, I just hate that in stories where it's like, I was gonna do this, but then, you know what? No, not gonna do it. Like, what? I just never understand that. And it's so aggravating, because that's just, and so then he's like, yeah, I guess I'll drive you back into town, into Silent Hill. And then, like, apparently they move in together and all this stuff. I also don't feel like this movie needed to show how they met. You could just show a guy just like, you know what I mean? You could just show him just going into town and da-da-da. And also, like, what I assumed, because I know the source material, when he got the letter from Mary being like, come back to Silent Hill, honey, it's one of those like, oh fuck, she's dead. How does she send me this letter? No, apparently, in the movie, she is still alive, according to him. And you don't realize that until, like, towards the end, when, like, the psychiatrist stuff is like, and the movie flashes, like, things to let you know, like, she's been dead, and he just thinks she's alive, and it's like, and it made me feel dumber. It also, like, was a backhand to the audience, because it's like, okay, most people are going to go to see this, know the source material. You know what I mean? And I guess, granted, there's going to be some people who don't really know. They have an idea of Silent Hill. But even then, that was just kind of like, hey, you're stupid. We made you think she was dead this whole time. But she wasn't, according to him. But she was dead this whole time. What? Like, it's like, mm-mm. So, he goes in, and it's similar to the game, where James meets, certain people, but he doesn't meet them long enough to be, like, a pivotal part of him being in Silent Hill, you get what I mean? Where they're more of like a members berry kind of thing, like, oh, Eddie, that's Eddie. Remember Eddie? Laura, right? Laura, okay. Angel, okay. Maria and her Huchita and her horrible wig. It's like one day you can see Katya just wig snatch. Like, she's thin, so it works for her. If my fat ass wore that wig, you know what I mean? It's like when like a decade ago when I first did my Raven costume and I had the little bob and it was just all face and little hair. Like, girl, no. Tina Belcher kind of shit going on. It was like, oh, these characters. Oh my god, the scene where he meets Maria in that maze and the way how that's like green screen chroma keyed in, it was borderline Neil Breen. How, like, horrible it was. It was just like, we're walking. This is a maze at this weird, 60-degree angle. The fuck? And again, comparing it to the other two movies, again, the first movie really felt the vibe of the games. It also, like, the camera work really, like, there's parts where, like, the woman in the first movie where she's, like, going down the stairs, the way how the camera work was very much like how, when you're playing the game, how the camera was working. Again, it felt the vibe of it, all that stuff. When the ash is falling and all that shit, it really felt like it was falling down and all that stuff. This one, it felt like it kind of was stuck in like the early 2000s, when after Saw and the Ring remake came out, where like everything was like that blue-green, tint, because he'll be there like looking around and it's very obvious like blue-green tint. Oh my god, it also reminded me of like the 2019 Hellboy movie, where it was just like, I'm standing here, none of this around me is real, I'm reacting. It's very much, and it's just blue, and it's like, why are you doing that? Like, Silent Hill's supposed to be like dusty gray. Again, the first movie did that really well. The second movie just existed. It's just like, I always forget that what's his name from Game of Thrones was in it, you know, because that was like his first movie, and he was like, you know, shaven and all that stuff. Anyway, which is funny because it's like the first movie is kind of like the first game, and the second movie was just, we'll just throw it out to be the third game, even though the first movie was kind of a mishmash of the first and second game in a sense, kind of, sort of, not really. And then this one, they're like, okay, we're going to keep it to the source material. We're going to keep it like the second game, which they did, and then they also, you know, and then they also made, like, the main character so, like, whereas he's, like, in the game, he's more like, I'm determined, I need to find my wife, what's going on, oh my god, you know, like, and this one, he's just like, oh no, man, oh geez, oh god, and then in this one, they were doing the whole thing where, like, you see Pyramid Head, and then there's like a little crack in the helmet, and they zoomed in, and there's a face underneath there, and like the whole lore of Pyramid Head is that he's not, like, he's just like, that's his face actually, and in this one they're like, no, it's James underneath, he is Pyramid Head, and it's like, oh god, like, again, I get it in the game, like, Pyramid Head and all those things are a manifestation. Like, I think, like, Pyramid Head is supposed to be, like, the manifestation of something that James believes he should be punished by, which is why it just is this horrible thing. And I think in, like, they think Dead by Daylight or something, when they had Pyramid Head, they gave him, like, this weird bubbly, like thing, because, like, he doesn't have a face underneath, so they gave him, like, all this, like, this freaking, you know, Cronenberg kind of shit going on, you know, and then like, oh, speaking of Cronenberg, there's not Cronenberg, but like, towards the end, when things, like, when how the monsters and how CGI ones and zeros were going, some of the things look very, like, Screaming Mad George, but, like, if you know, didn't get Screaming Mad George to do it, as obviously they didn't, you just had someone be like, you ever see that movie Society? Yeah, let's do that. But worse, even though it's 2026 and Society was made in the 80s, you know, it was like, oh my god, you have all this. And the thing is, like, when I first saw like clips of the trailer, in all honesty, I didn't know it was like a legit movie, excuse me, from the first director kind of thing. I thought it was a fan movie, and it's nothing to shit on fan movies. Like, a lot of people who, like, could do fan movies have done really good stuff, but it's just like, it didn't seem like a, you know, a studio thing, you know what I'm saying? It didn't look like, you know, people who previously were involved with it. Like, Konami has their name on this, you know what I mean? This looks like, again, fan film, you know, where it's like, oh, it's a 20-minute, 45-minute thing or something, right? But when I found out, like, oh no, this is a legit release, I was like, oh shit, okay, sure, I guess we'll do another Silent Hill movie. Well, you know, the remakes are coming out, and was it Silent Hill F is out, and then all that stuff. We will never get the PT thing, god damn it, you know, but fine, sure. Like, you guys will like this, don't look at the other thing that would have really made a lot of money, but, you know, and, yeah, it's just, like, ugh. They didn't even have the part where Maria, like, shows up again in, like, a prison cell thingy, and like that like, well-known conversation of her just being like, well, I didn't actually die, I'm alive, and whatever you believe ain't real. Like, not even that. And it's just like, it was so much like, it was like a lot of, like, you know, cheap jump scares as well, like, and it's like, I can appreciate this movie for, like, in a sense, I can appreciate this for being very close to the source material, like, being like, okay, you are doing those things, but at the same time, it's like they didn't go, they just kind of, like, Wikipedia page, like, plot synopsis made it, you know what I mean? And they didn't even do that, because, again, like, Eddie and Laura were kind of there and kind of not. Well, definitely Eddie was, like, there and then not, and then Laura was just like, I'm gone, you know, like, those characters weren't there to be, you know, again, they used a lot of the music from, like, the original games really well, and then there's some new stuff there from the composer. I just also hated that they kept having a flashback to them, like, oh, was us as a happy couple. I hate that it's, again, it's a slap to the face to the audience because it makes it feel like I'm dumb. It makes it seem like, no, 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 you don't understand. This couple, really loved each other. And it's like, I could guess that, man. And I hate that whole, like, or this is them when everything was fine. Like, stop. Like, this works when it's not a Silent Hill thing. This works when it's just a generic horror thing. And that's kind of what they did. They kind of just did like generic horror things, slapped, And it's like, you don't have to do that because with fucking Silent Hill, like, we know, bitch, we know. But they're like, nah, 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 nah. And it just... And then also the switching from, the real world and then the spooky world. And then the old one, they did that so much better. The, like, that kind of effect where, like, oh, here's the school. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, shit, type of thing. But then here they were like, oh, let's... And it's like, what? I don't know, man. And then the nurses looked really hokey because in that first movie, those masks were fucking amazing. I mean, a lot of them were pretty much blind, like the actresses in them. This one was very much like, I made this for cosplay. You see, the black part is where I could see, and then I put this other mishmash saying, I'm a nurse. And then the nurses, I don't remember this from the game, but the nurses, their faces being kind of porcelain, because then when they got stomped on, they just broke apart. I was like, I thought they were still supposed to be, like, flesh. They're not mannequins. And then there was, like, the spider, like, thing of Marie, not really Maria, you know what I mean, the bitch, all that stuff, and then freaking Pyramid Head is, like, punching it, and it's like, okay, I know in the game it get, the Pyramid Head is raping that thing, and I know they don't really want to show that, but it was also like, oh my god, in the second movie, the CGI of that was really bad too. Also, the Pyramid Head in the second one was really bad because it obviously had foam latex, like, had a foam latex body, when he was doing the weird, like, merry-go-round carousel cranking thing. It was the SpongeBob. This one, like, the actor in the thing, it wasn't as obvious. It wasn't like his body, like, it wasn't obvious it's like makeup. I think it was like a more like tight, thing. And then in the first one, it was makeup, but it still like worked and all that stuff. But also, oops, there goes my Discord. But also, like, I mean, also in the first one, the actor didn't have on underwear, and he saw his booty. But that was just like a behind the scenes thing, It wasn't like in the movie. But yeah, this was... God. I feel like if you don't know Silent Hill, then you may enjoy this. Like, if you don't know the source material that much, you may enjoy it. But if you know the source material and you really like Silent Hill, this, like I said, this feels like a slap in the face. This feels like, hey, you're stupid. You will buy this because it's that, it's that IP you like. And you're like, God, what else will I get? Just like, okay, fuck. Like, that's what it feels like, They're like, you will take this. You don't get anything else. That kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. Maybe Japan, can you take it over? Can you do your Silent Hill movie, please? Like when the Americans kind of fucked up on the Godzilla movies, and then Japan was like, all right, we gotta make a better one. And then like -1 came out, and you're like, like that. Can y'all take over your IP again? Because this is, Jesus Christ. Yeah, like I said, if this was like fan made, I would have been like, okay, you know what, like. They did what they could with whatever budget they had. Shit, they got people who could do effects and that's visual effects. Good on them. But again, this is like money. This had money behind it. No. Not good. Okay, bye.